Approval versus acceptance. You know, guys, I sometimes wonder if anybody knows the difference between the two anymore. You know, back in 2007, when Rudy Giuliani was running for president, they asked him, the media asked him, Mr. Mayor, so how do you feel about the gay marriage laws, civil union laws? He said, listen, if you're asking me as a Catholic, I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. If you're asking me as a lawyer, and as a politician, as a lawyer, as a legal mind, he said, I believe it went too far in terms of legal status. That's my opinion. Folks, the next day, the media painted Rudy Giuliani as a homophobe, as a person who hates gay people. My friends, we've gone from that one kind of notable scenario, and we are now we're about 18 years later, and we are in a situation where we are basically dealing with Maoist Red Guard. We're dealing with people who have taken the concept of acceptance and thrown it out the window, where the only thing that actually exists is approval. Right? What does that mean, guys? Meaning, they think that if you don't approve of them, of their lifestyle, of the things that they've concocted, right? All the ideologies that they concocted, these so-called new and up-to-date ideologies, right? Which are actually really reversions, right? It's really rolling things back to like the time of Sodom and Gomorrah, maybe the time of Noah, all this kind of stuff, right? And they think that if only you subscribe to their ideology, you will be enlightened just like them, right? This new, up-to-date, very modern, very just, hip, whatever you want to call it. Not archaic, not fascist, very cool, very free. And if only you subscribe to it, if only you approve of it. They don't want acceptance, folks, right? They already got acceptance. They already got, they keep saying rights. Now they want approval, right? It's like they had the whole compelled speech thing in Canada, right? Where they wanted to take away Jordan Peterson's license, right? They want approval. They want to compel a person to say words that he doesn't want to say. He doesn't want to call people a certain thing. Come on, why can't you just call us this? So, folks, this is akin to what they had in China with the Maoist Red Guard. If you don't subscribe to this particular ideology, that means we don't approve of you, because we see you don't approve of us. So if you don't approve of us, that means we don't approve of you. Forget about acceptance. Not only do we don't approve, we don't accept. No approval, no acceptance. Folks, this is what happens in a society that doesn't have God, right? Because really, if you guys think about it, what's God? Who is God? What's one of his attributes? What's one of God's attributes? One of God's attributes is acceptance. Yeah, he has things that he outlined that he approves of and disapproves of, right? We're coming up on Rosh Hashanah. We have, right now, the king is in the field. We're in Elul, right? Hashem, there's things that he doesn't approve of. He doesn't want us to do. He thinks he wants us to do and things he doesn't want us to do, right? He laid them out in the Torah, very simply, right? And our sages expounded on it, and the halacha, right? But if we do something wrong, things we don't approve of, does he still accept us? Barring, something horrible that we do, like unaliving a person or, stealing or whatever it is. And even then, folks, it's possible he accepts us. Most of the time, 90% of the time, unless there's some decree, right? Folks, so when you don't have Hashem, when you don't have God in the picture, in the society, acceptance is taken out the window. All you have then is something binary. It's either approval or not approval. It's either, like Caesar, this or this, right? So you come and tell these people, hey, like Charlie used to say, right? Charlie Kirk. Listen, he used to tell all these kids all the time, I don't approve of you, right? But I accept you, right? He was talking about from a religious standpoint, whatever. I accept you as a person. I'm not going to go and nor do I think anybody else should unalive you, right? My friends, the people who are calling Charlie Kirk a racist, a transphobe, a this and this and this and this, first of all, they never listened to any one of his debates, hardly any. They've plucked, obviously, quotes out of context, deliberately, right? The second thing is, guys, because he has certain beliefs, and because he doesn't approve of them, that means they don't approve. Not only they don't approve of him, they don't accept him as a human, right? You notice, right? What are they saying? Well, he shouldn't have been killed, but you need to understand, by the way, I should let you know that he was a horrible person, but he shouldn't have been killed, right? Folks, it's like saying, the people that say Hitler was a horrible person and he should have been killed. Why do you feel the need to say that someone is a horrible person, right? Yeah, he shouldn't have been unalive, but by the way, he was a horrible person. It's my opinion that he was a horrible. Folks, they're basically saying, they're kind of like in a thinly veiled way telling you that no, it's probably better he's not here, right? That's essentially what they're saying, without actually saying what these kids are saying. Some of these kids are saying, so celebrating, right? They don't want to be thought of as barbarians, right? So they're doing it in a thinly veiled way. Oh, but in reality, it's okay that he's not here, because he was a horrible person anyway. What's one horrible person here and there? Folks, that means they don't accept him. They don't approve of him, they don't accept him, because acceptance is not even in the picture, guys. Acceptance is not even in the picture, because we are now, basically, essentially, in the beginning stages of a situation that they had in Maoist China. Folks, 70 million people were wiped out by the government at that time. First, it was re-education camps. Somebody who doesn't comply, somebody who says something, the neighbor rats them out. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Folks, the difference is, in this country, we still have the means to defend ourselves, right? From our government and from other people. Now you can say, Tzvi, but what about the guy? He's the guy who did this. He did it with a gun. Folks, yes, he did it with a gun. He was a bad guy with a gun. Thank God, Baruch Hashem, we have good guys with guns, because if all there's going to be, you outlaw guns, those bad guys who want to unalive us for our thoughts, folks, guaranteed, those Reddit guys, those, or if you want to say Groypers, or Reddit, or Discord, or whatever guys, they will get their hands on a gun. This guy, folks, was going to get his hands on a gun regardless. Yeah, he was trained, he was this, he was that. He was going to get his hands on a gun regardless, my friends. And Baruch Hashem, at least you have good people have access, right? Because what can happen? What happened in China, folks? All he had to do was train the youth, give them the guns. They were his Red Guard. They were citizens, folks. They weren't an army, right? They were just young kids. And these young kids, by the way, in college and in high school, they were given weapons, right? Only Red Guard could have weapons. Only Army and the Red Guard could have weapons. Citizens could not have weapons. I mean, some got weapons here and there, but folks, citizens could not have weapons, right? And that's how you get 70 million bye-bye. My friends, now you may ask, well, Tzvi, so we're kind of in this dark moment where there's no more acceptance, there's only approval, and people are conflating the two, right? How do we get back to just accepting everybody, accepting each other, right? Yeah, not approving of each other, but how do we get back to just understanding that there's just an acceptance, right? Just like parents accept their kids, despite the fact that they don't approve of some of the things they do, right? And just like Hashem accepts us despite non-approval of certain things. Folks, the only way is plugging God back into the equation, into society. There has to be some kind of a spiritual awakening in society. Not only in America, in general in the Western world. And when you have a spiritual awakening, what happens is, guys, I'm not talking about theocracy. I'm not talking about forcing religion down people's throats and blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about people coming to God out of their own volition. I think in a way that it's good that this happened, because people who previously, for example, non-Jews who weren't, going to church and going whatever, will start going. Maybe Jews who were not going to synagogue maybe start going to synagogue. Guys, Charlie Kirk was in the process of writing a book. I think he may have even finished most of it, and it's going to be published. It's a book about Shabbat, how he kept Shabbat. How did he keep Shabbat? His version was turning off his phone. He's not obligated to keep Shabbat. He's not Jewish, right? He wasn't Jewish. He wrote a book about it. My friends, this is incredible. It's going to be published. It's going to be put out on Amazon in December, right? It's going to be sold on Amazon in December. Folks, this is absolutely astounding. And honestly, it's really, I think, the only way to bring us back to at least some sort of sanity, guys. Because right now we're in a situation where I say something, I have an opinion, someone else has a different opinion, or someone else lives a certain lifestyle, and they see that I disapprove of them, or they see that I'm whatever it is, right? So automatically I'm the enemy. I am the enemy, right? That's bad, folks. That's very, very, very bad. Now you could say, Tzvi, why do how you solve that? You should just not talk about politics or anything else. Folks, at this point, it's values, right? So basically, what you're telling me is we cannot talk about anything in depth, anything of our values with other people, because we are afraid that they may have a different, so now we're just going to go to our own, so to speak, echo chambers. We can only hang out with people we have basically only the same values with. We can't hang out with people with different, who have different opinions anymore, and that's it. My friends, that's a recipe for a bad society, guys. It's a recipe for a bad society. So I think, honestly, the only way to come back to some semblance of anything, that's not going to lead us down a path of, God forbid, civil you-know-what, is plugging Hashem back into the equation. You can say, Tzvi, Hashem's everywhere. Maybe Hashem is doing this. It's possible, folks, but we have something called free will, right? We have something called free will. And, we know that Hashem is not going to destroy the world like he did in the generation of the flood. He's not going to destroy the whole world, but he could destroy a country, right? Folks, he destroyed Rome because of similar things. A great civilization. Rome fell, right? All those, the people that, knocked Rome off its pedestal, all those other, the Goths and all those guys. Yeah, that's just, Hashem's instruments, whatever you want to call it. Tools. But, my friend, Roman society fell because of whatever we're experiencing today. A lady on the bus is sitting there. She's, somebody stabs her. It doesn't matter if the guy's black or white or whatever. Somebody stabs her in the neck. No one, not even one person, comes to her aid. Folks, that is something straight out of Sodom. It is something straight out of, like, a biblical scenario, where the place where people were doing that on a regular, not coming to the aid of a person who's just got stabbed right in front of the face, that place eventually got destroyed. It got turned into sulfur and and salt, my friends, and fire. So I don't want that to happen, right? I said the other day, we have a scenario where we have people celebrating the unaliving of Charlie Kirk, and I said, there's no helping them anymore. I don't know if that's true. That was just my gut reaction, my knee-jerk reaction, right? Maybe there is helping them. I don't know. If you ask Charlie Kirk himself, he would say yes. He's spoken to a lot of those people. He said, listen, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to this, I'm going to that. I really hope you come to your senses, so to speak. But my friends, there's a lot of these people. A lot of them have gotten, from wherever they've gotten them, these ideas, these thoughts, the concept that basically there is no Hashem. And if there is, I don't know what they're worshiping. I don't know who they're worshiping. That biblical principles are, to be thrown out the window. Yeah, it's not a good situation, guys. I don't know what's going to precipitate a return. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know what the path is, but I do know, guys, that Hashem might have to step in. He might have to help us. So, B'ezrat Hashem, guys. This upcoming year, 5786, Rosh Hashanah's coming soon. Everybody should accept everybody else, because essentially that's how you emulate Hashem. Because guess what, guys? Yeah, there's things that Hashem approves, disapproves, but if He didn't accept you, He wouldn't have put you on this earth. He does accept you. Alright, guys. Shavua Tov. Talk to you soon.